Okay, we'll bring the meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll begin with roll call. Bowman here. Laporte.
Here.
Patterson.
Here.
Frazier.
Here.
Oddie.
Here.
Rush.
Here.
Honey.
Here.
Okay. Approve agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carried. Michigan Association of Chief of Police, MACP, Executive Director.
Mr. Supervisor, Board, members of the audience, as you know, the Police Department has been engaged in a multi-year effort to achieve accreditation through the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission, MLEAC. Our accreditation manager, Lieutenant Brian Stefani, and Assistant Accreditation Manager, Captain Patrick Gannon, have led this important initiative. Their dedication, along with the contributions of others in the department, resulted in our receiving accredited status after a hearing before the MLEAC on February 4th in Grand Rapids. We are proud to be one of only 90 police departments in the state to achieve this accreditation. Tonight, we celebrate the culmination of our efforts with the presentation of the Certificate of Accreditation. Please join me in welcoming the Executive Director of the MACP, Chief Robert Stevenson, retired, Deputy Director Chief Ronald L. Wiles, retired, President Brian Ergand, and Accreditation Program Director, Detective Lieutenant Matt Silverthorne, retired.
Hold your applause because I didn't do anything. I'm just here tonight representing the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission. It's my honor to be here. Again, my name's Bob Stevenson, or Robert Stevenson. Spent my first 37 years in this profession with the City of Livonia and retired from there as police chief, and then joined the Association of Chiefs of Police 13 years ago, where it's been my honor to represent the police chiefs and administrators around the state of Michigan. So I am here tonight representing the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission for the awarding of Certificate of Accreditation to the Sumpter Township Police Department. So I spent my police career in Southeast Michigan, and I'm aware of the Sumpter Township Police Department, and you got a good police department. But I can tell you, just like the Livonia Police Department, which was not accredited when I left it and has since got accredited, that your police department is better today than it was before they started the process of accreditation. It's a significant professional accomplishment. To put it a little bit into perspective, as the director said, in the state of Michigan, you are the 90th police agency to become accredited. That in and of itself might not sound as impressive as it is if you consider that in the state there's 600 police agencies. Out of those 600 police agencies, 83 of them are county sheriffs, and about 400 are municipal agencies, and the rest are from colleges, universities, and such. Again, to become the 90th to achieve accreditation is a significant accomplishment. To put it another way, your police agency has been able to accomplish what 85% of the other police agencies in the state of Michigan have not yet accomplished. In my position with the association, I've had the opportunity to go around the state. Not all police departments are created equal. You have an excellent police department, which is even better. So again, it is my pleasure. My 50-year career is going to end here next week, and this is my last accreditation that I've been able to participate in, and I'd like to say we saved the best for last, and you definitely have the best that's there. So I'm going to introduce our Deputy Director, Ron Wiles, retired chief, to speak a little bit about the process, to give you a little bit more feeling about what your department had to go to get this significant accomplishment. Chief?
Well, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's certainly my pleasure to recognize and honor your fine police department. As Bob mentioned, my name is Ron Wiles. I'm the Deputy Director with the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. Prior to that, I did my law enforcement career at Grand Blanc Township in Genesee County. The last 6 years, I had the honor of serving as their Chief of Police. You're all probably somewhat familiar with accreditation. A lot of professions have accredited programs. Law enforcement's no different. accreditation is a progressive, time-proven way to increase your overall performance and level of service of your law enforcement agency. Now, the foundation of the program lies in the voluntary compliance of 128 professional standards. The key word there is voluntary. No one made the Sumpter Township Police Department do this. They did it for the sole reason of getting better. Getting better for you as elected officials, getting better for members of the community, and better for the members of the police department. Let me kind of walk you through the process that it took to achieve this accredited status. For whatever reason, the first step is often the most difficult. You know, in my role, I get to tour the state of Michigan, talk to a lot of police chiefs and executives about accreditation. They all see the value in it, how it can make them better, but for whatever reason, they can't get over that first step, and that first step is apply. Take that step, go over that first hurdle, and apply and get started in the process. It takes someone of great leadership, great commitment to the community to do that, and obviously you have that with Director Luke here at Sumpter Township. The second step, we call it self-analysis. This is where all the work is done. We give agencies 2 years to accomplish their self-analysis phase. When they enter the program, we give them the 128 standards. They have their current book of written directives, and they compare the two. I can guarantee you some places they were compliant already. Others, they had a lot of work to do, and that's why we give them 2 years. Now, we all know that it's one thing to say you're compliant with the standards, but in our program, we force agencies to show that you're compliant with the standards. We do that through a thing called proofs. For each of the 128 standards, they had to show a proof, which could be a police report, a video, a picture, an interview, something you can see to verify that they're compliant. Now, I say there's 128 standards, but all those standards have bullet points as well. So if you count up all those bullet points, you're close to 600 items that the agency has to show proof and compliance, that they're in compliance with the standard. So after they navigate that process, they contact me and they say, hey, I think we're ready for the next step, that next step being their on-site assessment. I set up a team of trained assessors from outside the area, bring them to Sumpter Township, and they do a top-to-bottom review of the agency. They review all the agency's written directives. They compare them to the standards. They look at all the proofs, all in an effort to show compliance. While they're on site, they'll do ride-alongs with the officers. They do interviews. Some of you may have been involved in that interview process. They have a public call-in session where the public can call in and talk about the police agency, all in an effort to show, again, that they're in compliant with the 128 standards. At the end of that on-site assessment, the assessment team sits down with the accreditation team, and the chief usually has a pretty good idea where they stand. And obviously, they did well enough to proceed to the next step, the fourth step in this process, the commission hearings. As the director mentioned, they went to Grand Rapids for their commission hearings. They sat down in front of the commission, and the commission asked them a bunch of questions, all in an effort, again, to show compliance with our 128 standards. I'm proud to say at the end of that commission hearing, it was unanimous that the Sumpter Township Police Department received their fully accredited status. As Bob mentioned, this is a significant professional accomplishment. There's only 90 agencies across the state that have achieved this so far, and now you are one of those 90. However, up to this point, you have made a promise. The police department's made a promise to you, their elected officials. They've made a promise to their residents of Sumpter Township, and they've made a promise to the fine officers of the Sumpter Township Police Department. Now it's time for them to keep that promise. And they do that in the fifth and final step called reaccreditation. Accreditation is good for a period of 3 years. At the end of that 3-year period, we're going to send another team of trained assessors to Sumpter Township, and they're going to do another top-to-bottom review of the agency. However, this time they have to show compliance with each of the 3 years, not just one total, but 3 different sets of proofs, 3 different sets of compliance with all the standards in the program. I could not be more proud of the work that has been done, what they've accomplished. As mentioned several times, it is a significant professional accomplishment. We say that numerous times because it is. Not everyone can do this. Only those committed to excellence can do that, and you have that here at Sumpter Township. With that, I'd like to introduce our current president of the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police, Chief Brian Ergang, for the presentation.
Good evening. Chief Wiles said, I'm Brian Ergang. I'm currently the Chief of Police at Kalamazoo Township Police Department in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I also have the privilege of serving as the president of the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. As a chief of an agency that's recently been through accreditation, I can tell you that the process is very difficult. It requires a lot of buy-in. It requires buy-in from your agency. It requires buy-in from your community. And quite honestly, it requires buy-in from the board. And so we could be here tonight without some support from you, some funding, and believing in the efforts that the director has made here at your police department. Having said all those things, and we heard Director talk about this already, about the many hours that people have put in, about the sacrifices. There's lots of hours in policy development and implementation and training. And the director is going to talk a lot about all the work the lieutenant did and all the work that his people did. And I think what we got to understand is that without the director's vision, without his intent, and probably a little tough love from time to time, we all wouldn't be here tonight. So if we can give a round of applause to the director, I appreciate it. So without further ado, if I can have you come up for the presentation. On behalf of the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission, to all that see this certificate, know that the Sumpter Township Police Department, having voluntarily complied with the standards established by the Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission, deemed essential for the delivery of professional police services and the protection of their community, is hereby awarded this Certificate of Accreditation. Director, congratulations.
I can tell you one thing, the three before or after me just now are much better public speakers than I am. But I will say this, and I've said it to many people, and I said it in the accreditation hearing, I've never been so proud of the department, ever.
Here, here.
You're here.
Got it.
And, you know, we say it once in a while during awards every year and stuff, but I don't think the general public understands the extent of the great officers you have working in this department and the extent they're willing to go to make it better. I think this is just evidence of that. And it was a buy-in from top to bottom. We didn't have half the department that didn't think it was a good idea. I mean, there was buy-in right from the beginning. And because of that, I think the process worked as it should. It will work as it should, and it's a great accomplishment, and I'm very proud to stand up here with this in hand. So, thank you very much.
Chief, would you mind getting a photo with your command staff and the team that did all the accrediting, please?
We have those, and I will send you some. You have them.
Oh, you already took them?
Makeup was dry.
How about one with the board? Yeah, that'd be great.
Was that part of the 128 things?
Might as well, yeah.
Hey, should we come down here in front? That way we can.
Maybe have the president handing that to you in front of us right in the middle. And
Oh, you're not out of the mix. They're calling you in. I know you said no, but what are you gonna do?
Come on, everybody get in there.
yeah, we'll start it out. That way they can be in cover barred up.
Is this okay?
I'm gonna stand up on the.
Need a couple of uniforms over here, Matt and Dallas. My OCD is.
Everybody say cheese. Oh, come on.
Have some cheese. He's the only one that's compliant.
We're meant to be some.
Congratulations. It's a good job, Chief, but thank you guys. Congratulations, Chief. Now we got two accreditations that
Good job. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, Tony. Mr. Burdick. Maybe we lower the temperature in the air up. Starting to break the sweat. Yeah, too many cops. Too many cops. Too many tickets. Too many tickets out there.
Okay.
Number 5.
Always on number 8, won't we?
Yeah.
You're welcome,
Thank
Chief.
you.
Okay, we'll move on. Number 5, discussion Willow Water Main Project consideration, Ahmad Ali, Hennessy Engineers.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ahmad Ali with Hennessy Engineers. We were asked to present some kind of estimate to replace existing water main between Sumpter and east 7,300 feet. We did that estimate based on the current construction cost, and we submitted to you. The process is to submit design to Eagle, and unfortunately these days it's taken 4 to 6 months to get that approved. So the sooner we can do the plan, the better for if you guys decide to move on with this project. The estimate that was sent to you guys based on the current estimate of the construction cost in the neighborhood around us. And that represents about 7,300 linear feet of water main. That include 19 fire hydrant, 7 connection to the existing water main at the intersection, and then about 50 house connection with a new line, service lead, and a shut-off box. In between that distance, there will be like 10 gate valve and well to shut the water when we need it. And what we did, we came up to about $2,858,000 of construction cost. We don't know the exact number till we bid the job out, and we did some estimate based on that for the 10% contingency to add to the budget, about $285,000, and the survey and engineering estimate was about $185,000. These numbers will change based on after the actual bid and find out who the lower qualified contractor. The plan is to start doing the survey, and based on the survey, we'll find where the existing line, and we'll figure out with the county where we put the new line to replace the old one. And after that, we need to get the permit from Eagle, from the county, from soil erosion. And after the successful construction, we will take the old line, we'll abandon it in place. We try to abandon in place to avoid the cost of removal. And if you guys have any questions, I can answer.
Yeah, sure, if I may.
Sure.
So the $2,858,000, is that a high estimate, do you believe?
It's pretty much what we've been getting lately around our neighborhood. The most recent one we did in Ash Township, just before 275. It's kind of almost the same numbers right now. The problem with the steel, with the ductile pipe, it goes up and down based on, the current economy and where you get the material from.
As you're well aware of the history of this line having issues over the past 3 years.
Yeah,
Does this estimate of yours of the 7,300 feet encapsulate replacing all of the previous patches and repairs that we've made?
That's exactly between Martinsville and Sumpter Road, and we're adding another 1,600 feet to the east because that experienced some damages too. There's a record with DPS about all this water main break that cost in the township quite a bit.
And the life expectancy of the new product that you're putting in the ground, how does that compare to what was currently in the ground?
If we use the HDPE pipe, I think none of us will be alive when the time we need the problem with this line. So it's probably 50 years and up.
50?
Yeah,
roughly?
at least, yeah.
I think that's probably close to where we're at now with current materials that are in the ground, so it's compatible with what we've originally put in years ago?
That's what they estimate, but technically that HDPE pipe, when you fuse it together, it lasts forever, but no one willing to tell you it's going to be 100 or some. We even used that material, I remember in the 80s at the landfill, and we never have any problem with it.
Okay, now, the last question I've got, maybe the last one. I always seem to think I give more in my head, but In your opinion, given the history of this line, this might sound absurd, but I just want to see where you're at with this in your mind. Would it be better to keep patching the one we have to save money, or is it a cost effect to replace the whole thing?
Well, you gotta.
I mean, basically, in a sense, we've paid for a dead horse for 3 years.
Yeah, you can always put Band-Aid on the problem, but it's gonna cost you for the cost of replacing it, the loss of the water, the inconvenience to the resident, and
No, I completely understand that, but, I
Yeah.
mean, we're looking at, say, maybe a half dozen repairs that, so if we average $30,000, I mean, you know, half a dozen repairs,
yeah,
it's $180,000 versus almost $3 million. I mean,
That's true.
There's a
Right.
huge disparity between those two numbers. In your opinion, would it be cost effective to just keep making the patches until everything was new?
well,
I mean, it sounds like common sense to
Yeah.
me that you just want to put new in the ground. Don't get me wrong, but
no, I mean, I'm not.
I'm trying to think as maybe the devil's advocate of the other side of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to push the project to be built. I'm just trying to ask to propose an estimate to see what it costs to replace it, to avoid all this interruption. The other, I don't know how much they're spacing right now. We should look after the topo. The fire requirement too for that, to get enough pressure to space the fire hydrant where you need it, to, you know, add in more homes on the same street, to require more fire protection too. So the old system probably didn't take that into account. So, I mean, you gotta look at value everything.
Yeah, and that's the reason I asked the question, is obviously there's things that they're underlying that you don't know about, and if you don't ask maybe sometimes a
I
ridiculous
understand.
question, you don't get the foresight of what
No, I
somebody
agree
else's
with you.
opinion is.
I agree with you. We're having the same problem all over, and city's been trying to get grant to spend the money on it. We tried, I believe, 2-3 years ago to get you guys a grant so you don't have to spend your own money. But unfortunately, it wasn't, you know, you weren't qualified for that. And we're trying this year to do the same, but unfortunately, the state look at different municipality where they need it most, and they look at your situation with the money too, so,
Yeah, they always like to look at your bank account, don't they?
yeah.
I'm okay for now.
Okay,
Matt's question.
I'll hold my breath. Go ahead, Matt.
And I understand Clerk Report's concern, but, you know, as you look out, 180, 200,000 a year for, you know, 6 or 7, you do that over 5 years, now you're at a third of the cost of replacing, you know, in 5 years. So I think it makes sense. But my big question is, do you have a sense for why we're having so much trouble there? And will the new line not have the same issues? Is it the material? Is it the soils? You know, what do we think is causing the failure?
What I heard from the contractors doing the service repair for you guys is the way this water main break, it, one, because it's too old, 2, the soil causing some damage to it. And a lot of time the fluctuation and the pressure of the water main caused that to do. It's like when you send somebody without any experience, turn the hydrant on quick and turn it off, that create a water hammer and break the water main.
Right.
So it could be multiple reasons for that.
And so the new pipe we're putting in, is it more resistant to the soil that's there that might be causing issues?
Yeah, we use that HDPE pipe all over right now. As a matter of fact, I started using it myself back in '86 at Riverview landfill for the methane gas. That was new in the state at that time. It seems like it's working pretty good.
Now, when you spec this, are we specing for 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet? What is the depth?
The typical cover for the water main in Michigan is 5.5 feet. It's pretty much 10 states around us. It's 5.5 feet cover over the pipe. Sometimes we have to go deeper a little bit if we go across like a drain or something. But the typical 5.5 feet cover.
Okay, I was thinking I'd want to go deeper after our whole Rossville Road issue to make sure that, you know, those ditches in those areas haven't been cleaned out in years and years and years. So if we're going to put something in that ditch,
That's
we
a
need to
good
make
point.
sure we get it in the right spot, that if they decide to dig it out and dig it out right, that our main isn't going to get exposed again.
Yeah, that, I mean, the fault in that is whoever put the main in the township. It's pretty much the county when they did that. Because personally, I have some argument with them about it because what they did there wasn't maintenance to the ditch. It was total reconstruct.
Right.
They uncovered it. They know the water main was there.
Yeah.
So they uncovered and they left even the connection to some resident exposed. And that's why I proceed on my own risk to start the construction before even the permit. Because otherwise it will freeze and
Right,
put
would've
people
been-
out of water.
Been in
so-
trouble. I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure that, you know, when we're specking this, you know, with the county, that, you know, we can make sure that it's one, a little bit deeper than what the spec is, just in case they decide to dig it a little deeper and finally clean those ditches
Yeah,
out. or-
we're gonna make sure not, I mean, if we move forward with that, there's no way we put it under or near the ditch.
Yeah.
And, because it's, I think the one currently there, it looked like it's an easement
Yeah.
outside that. So it's either we're gonna keep it within 10 feet from that, so when we directional bore, you don't wanna break the existing and deal with it.
Right.
Or maybe try to put it on the other side of the road and leave that till we, abandon it. But,
Okay, all right. Well, that was my questions. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Any more questions?
Can I just ask one, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Ahmad, so going back to Mr. Laporte's question regarding should we maintain it as opposed to replace it, is there ever a concern that we could be faced with a huge collapse there of some kind if we keep going back and repairing it? I mean, there was some discussion about that before, and obviously if something like that happened, then the emergency situation would be for a much longer duration. Or is it pretty much limited to just
Well, it's-
maintenance issues from here to there or whatever?
I mean, the maintenance is different. I mean, you try to fix the location and in the process of trying to, drain the pipe before you do the fixing, you may end up with damage in the pipe somewhere. Because as soon you turn that hydrant, like I said earlier, you create what they call water hammer. Anytime that pressure fluctuate, you may end up with 1 or 2, 3 break. It happened before. It happened 3 locations. A guy tried to get 5 gallons of water and turn it quick, turn it quick off and on. And he was taking 5 gallons of water to Burger King that he's building. It cost him $65,000. So if you're fixing one location and you try to flush the system, and now you create another, now you knock on the people's door and said, hey, I'm going to keep the water off for another 4 hours. There's possibility of that. It happened a lot.
So,
Well, I think, Chair, if I could follow up, I mean, I don't see any reason why we can't put together a formal bid, to send out to get, pricing on this. I mean, I know we still have issues on, funding it and looking at bonds and stuff, which we can continue that while this is being prepared to be sent out for bid. And like you said, even if we get things rolling, it could be 4 to 6 months before Eagle will even, give us the green light.
so we would bring a motion up to let Ahmad start the process of designing and going out for bid and obtaining permits from Eagle. That's what I want to hear.
And I think, as part of this, I mean, I think for me, this is phase 1. This
Right.
is, we have a 5 and a 10-year plan, because as you mentioned, clerk report, we have mains that are in the ground that are 50 years old now, and, are looking to be aged out, that we need to start having a process. And I think, this can be stage 1, but we need to quickly get stage 2 and 3 for which areas we think we need to start next to, shore up the infrastructure and make sure that we don't end up with another break issue that we're scrambling to try to fix. Doing it in an organized way will keep us from being in an emergency situation.
So we'll bring a motion to begin the process. You want to put that verbiage together, Matt? I know you already got it in your head.
Got it close.
Can I get one more question, Ahmad? Is it possible, like Trustee Adi said, this is phase 1, is it possible to bid this out to contractors for phase 2 and 3, so maybe we can get a volume discount
If
moving
you,
forward?
we've done it in a different type of work, whether concrete replacement or asphalt or water main. If you choose and you get a low bidder and he's qualified, you're happy with him. Some of contractor, before they send a letter at the end of the project willing to do some extra work, and they're willing to keep the same price they got. So instead of go bid again and get a different contractor, you don't know if you're gonna be happy with them or not, or the price gonna change. We've done that in probably 4 or 5 years in a row. I did that in city of Woodhaven, 5 years in a row, extend the contract with the same price.
Well, that would be nice.
If the contractor willing to do so, yeah, you have the
So
right to do
does
that.
Hennessy work with our planners at all? Carlisle work with them?
Yes, yeah, I work with them in different
So maybe
communities.
when you get ready to bid this, that we can, you guys can have a discussion with Carlisle Workman if there's any master plan areas that would need more hydrants. I think now's the time, right? You would wanna,
I don't think
you'd
John
wanna put
Enos
those
get
in there. There
involved.
may not be any.
No,
I'm just
John,
saying.
John Enos do the planning. I don't think he get involved in the water main and see where the space is. I think it would be best with the fire chief to look at it. He's the one who's needed when you need, we do typically like 500, maximum 350 feet. So you'd be able to go from 500 to east or west or north and south to catch.
Yeah, I understand
Yeah.
that part, and we're pretty good on our hydrant locations
Yeah.
within the township. But my question was, is if there's any future planning for development,
Oh, sure.
it might be
Yeah, where you need
advantageous
it,
for
where
us
you need
now
it
to
most.
put
Yeah,
a gated valve underground or put a fitting in the ground now
sure.
for the future, as opposed to digging up and paying for it
Yeah, when I
all.
estimated this, I estimate that we'll do the two intersection, Sumpter and Martinsville and Willow, and we will do connection on every direction. And that way in the future, and you have a gate wall. So in the future, if you decide to extend south, all you have to do is just shut the water and connect to that line. And we're doing on the west and east, the same thing.
Excellent.
So that way you don't have to, dig that intersection again and do it. That's why we create, I think, in my estimate, 10 gate valve and well. So in between, like every 1,000 feet or so, we throw another one. That way, in case you have a water main break, you don't want to shut the whole street. You just isolate, few residents.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I add one more? I want to make sure I understand where you want to go with this, okay? That's
Okay.
what it comes down to. So,
Thank you.
Ahmad, as we sit right now, moving forward, encompassing all that, what we can do to begin, what are we looking at? You prepare the documents to submit to Eagle. Is there anything else we can do now, or do we have to wait until those permits are granted before we can? You're not
No.
going to bid the job until we know what we're
The
permitted for,
process on our end is start doing the survey work.
okay?
To go out to the survey crew, figure out all these locations for a resident, where the
All
shut-off
right,
box
survey
is,
is the first step,
first step, and then we start doing the design.
okay?
And once we do the design, and then we need to submit to Eagle for the permit. The first thing we can do, because the waiting time is quite a bit.
Right.
And then after that, we can deal with Wayne County, to get their permit, the soil erosion. I mean, the bid can go before or after. I mean, we can bid and tell the contractor, wait till we get the Eagle permit. You don't like to do that too much because the guys
Things
want.
change?
Things change and price change and, you never know right now with, you guys hear about the economy, how it goes up and down with the tariff and everything. So you don't want to have a contractor locked into a price and tell them to wait for this permit. I mean, as soon we get the design, we can send it to Eagle, and hopefully they change their mind on that 4 to 6 months waiting period. It's just driving everybody crazy right now. So, but yeah, the first thing is we do the
Survey, design, and then.
and design,
permit
and then we work
preparation.
on the spec book and, to get it ready to bid it out.
Chair, I mean, if, any more questions, I can make a motion.
I think if I may add, there was a question about the payment, and I talked to my office too. We're very flexible on, we can bill the township on progress payment. I don't want to sound like, tell John Hennessy that I can wait till the end of the project to build, and she try me, but we can work with you on that, so you don't have to upfront any money for that.
Very good.
thoughts.
Okay, Matt?
Okay, I will then make a motion to consider approval to authorize Hennessy Engineering to proceed with the engineering and bid preparation and surveys for 7,300 linear feet of 12-inch HDPE water main.
I'll second that.
Want to do a roll call? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nays? Motion carried.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ahmad. Okay, we got
Public comment.
no public comments. Nobody signed in? Okay, we'll move on to minutes. A, approve the regular board meeting minutes of April 8th, 2025.
Chair, I'll make the motion to approve items A, the minutes for A and B.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carried. 8, approve warrants of $209,890.60.
So move with a roll call vote.
Okay.
Support.
Bowman, yes. Laporte?
Yes.
Patterson?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Addie?
Yes.
Rush?
Yes.
Honey?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, moving on. Township managers report.
Good evening, Board,
He's quick.
and good evening, attendees. Thank you for joining us. My report was submitted with the board packet. I'd like to hit a couple of highlights, update a little bit. Of course, Ventura, and I'm sure the good treasurer and his deputy have been in touch on this, and they've started to ramp up activities, but I'm going to leave that for you, sir. Midwest has been out. I've met with them. They are preparing and will over this next 4 weeks to complete our fire department parking lot and get that back up to speed, and also go through, create the collars across the street that were missed on the original, do a little seaming, and they'll be good until 2026. Also, RTU, the HVAC system, the board had approved putting a split system in across the way with 2 units. That is nearing completion, just about done. They've got some fine tuning, some thermostat settings to get right. I want to tell you just a small, quick, brief story. And from my world, this is the kind of contractor I always try to look for and work with. DPW, Ron, thank you. If you'd let Sir Crushland know I said that. Went by, looked at the units and said, something doesn't look right. And he called me. And I went over an hour or so later, and Johnny was correct. They didn't look right because the additional unit, the secondary unit put in, was flat on the asphalt. Now, we all know what happens around here 6 months out of the year, and ain't nothing good happens with metal sitting in saline water. So I got a hold of Randy, and he immediately came back and said, that's my bad. Didn't think about that. We'll get it fixed. He had it craned out of position, had the pad poured by Bart, the next morning? Yeah. And it's sitting curing, it'll be ready to go. I like working with that. I like that. If I may, the Easy Dock platforms have been installed, looking better, looking longer. What do we do next on this? Maybe we add a couple to make it more square. I don't know. The world's our oyster on that. DPW director is in and getting up to speed, thank heavens. Ron, how do you like it? Good, excellent. And we also have our new finance director here who is with us. Welcome aboard again. And if I may, her first meeting report, if it pleases the good supervisor and the board, will be on May 27th, and we will have our finance director begin to deliver monthly briefings and meetings, each of those, and I leave it to the board to decide if you want to increase, decrease. All right. if I may, the virtual meeting that was held with myself and Trustee D.S. Rush on the Wayne County Paving Initiative, that project number 1 has been submitted on the Judd Road piece, and also they have given me flexibility to submit 2 more. And I finally got the information, so I may. One is a ditching improvement program. Now, these may span over a few years' worth of project. So they may not be considered fully in this first initiative year. You may see it into the next year and third year. They have allowed me to submit 2 projects, one being 167 road miles of ditches that are just roadside ditch. Submit them, get them in the pipeline, and have people looking at them. The second is an established new road base of 6 inches on each of those that are dirt and gravel roads. How that'll fly, I think they're looking at it incrementally. So you've got 108 centerline miles of road in our township serviced by the county. And once again, 167 roadside ditches. I might add, wish us luck. Fire and MCO testing. The good chief and I were talking about this earlier. He recommended, and this, I don't want to steal anything from you, sir. I would assume you're going to touch base on that in a future meeting a little deeper. But it is to begin the testing for lieutenant qualification on our fire department. We've had a couple of conversations about this, and we are looking at it. We will see if it makes sense, and we will include our good liaison in that process. Drain Commission meeting, May 22nd, 9 to 5 in the Township Gymnasium. Drains and county business seems to be high on our list of opportunities here over this past month or so. So also, North Big Swan Creek has a bid notice out that they're meeting in April 23rd, which begins the process of soliciting what they call bid letting to get vendors and contractors to address each of the cross sections of those drains from Washtenaw through Wayne all the way into Monroe. And if there are no questions, please.
So on the drains,
Sure.
So when the county drain commission gives us notice on meetings and such, or as it applies to when they want to start working on these named drains, I'd like for us to start posting times on our website for the residents so they can attend meetings, because obviously they're gonna start looking at knocking on their door for probably some more tax money, I'm sure.
Absolutely,
to
sir.
clean these out, and
Yeah.
I think it's fair to give them notice and give them a opportunity to speak their piece on it, right?
Agreed. Your deputy is helping me secure those notices so that we can get them on the website, get them on the Facebook page, get them on township boards.
Yeah, she's told me about it. I just wanted to talk in public about it.
Absolutely.
So there's the big difference between talking in the office versus talking
Agreed.
in front of the public, right?
Agreed.
I would also ask that if any future recommendations come from the county, if the board chooses, I'd like to see if we could start addressing Martinsville Road between Harris and Bemis for some kind of improvement.
Okay, sir.
It's a short distance. I mean, we're not looking at 2.8 miles or 2.6 miles like we are on Judd Road, but if they're looking for projects, we've got them. I think
Agreed.
it's advantageous for us to start being prepared and forthcoming with the county on what our wish list, if you will, and keep it in their face pretty constant. So
Agreed.
they have a good understanding. We do have needs.
Yes,
And
sir.
it's not always having a shovel dig out some ditches and make us happy. We want better than that.
Agreed.
We demand better than that.
I agree.
There you go.
And I would ask if anyone on the board or those in attendance, you know where I live, right here. So get those recommendations to me, and I'll continue to submit them through this initiative program. Make them public. Get them in there. Get the county and the county commission very familiar with what it is we're looking for.
Can I add something?
Please.
I think Clark Road is between Sumpter and Huron. I think they're trying to pave this road right now. So they're trying to, right now, they start talking to Huron, they want to talk to you guys too, to try to pave that road.
We'll be the last to know, I'm sure.
If I could,
I got a quote from the council, so just to let you know.
no, thank you. for letting us know.
Very much appreciate that.
Thank you.
Chair, if I could, Tony, refresh me again on the drains. I know we're talking about having some meetings. They're proposing a special project that we need to let them know what drains we want to get cleaned out, or are they?
Not drains, roadside ditches.
Well,
Yeah.
they consider those drains.
It can be, it can be.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. It can be.
They don't drain.
Yeah, that don't drain, right. The reason I wanted to talk about that again is because it just seems odd that there has to be a special meeting or a special event for them to maintain the ditches that they're supposed to maintain.
And-
You know,
and
this-
freely-
you know, and,
yeah.
you know, and I heard Don say there's probably gonna be additional costs. I mean, people pay their taxes for the maintenance of those ditches. They're not, you know, when they don't get maintenance for 30, 40 years, like the ditch in front of my house, I've lived there since 1980. It's never been dug. Never. I'm on the main Bemis Road. And I'm sure the taxes were collected to do the maintenance and ongoing stuff. And if they're proposing that there be a tax increase to do that work, I mean, it just seems, you hate to, you know, not, you know, be a negative on getting it done, because we need it done, because, you know, all the water that flows from Van Buren and Washington, all that comes this way, it doesn't have anywhere to go if we don't get our drains cleaned out, and then Monroe County get theirs cleaned out, because if theirs aren't cleaned out, it just roadblocks right there and pushes right back into our
Sure.
community. At least our ditches will be deeper and be able to handle the
They'll
water.
look prettier.
But, you know, not overflowing, but I just
Yeah.
thought that was kind of strange that they want to have a special event to do
Well,
something
and
that
in
should be
fact-
done, you know, just as regular maintenance.
Agree. In fact, on that call that you and I were on, sir, they freely admitted, yeah, we know, that nobody's been out there doing anything in at least 30 years. So.
Yeah, we
they-
talked about.
There should be a rebate.
A couple places with them, Tony.
Yeah. Maybe-
Absolutely.
Maybe we should ask for a rebate.
I will recommend that, sir. I
Thank you,
will.
Tony.
If there aren't any other questions, thank you.
Motion to accept the TM report.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carried. Water and sewer report, Patterson, treasurer report, Patterson.
Sorry, our attorney is distracting me. I do my job here, Rob, sorry. I'll combine a couple here for the water and sewer report and the treasurer's report. So, Tony, you did mention, the first thing I was writing notes on, you'd mentioned about the parking lots and all that, update on the parking lots and such. You mentioned that, you covered it to the board? Okay, got it, just want to make sure. I was writing notes, I thought you did, but I just wanted to make sure. As far as the Ventura Playscape is concerned, by, I think the next meeting's on May 8th, we should have more of a progress report right now. If you've been by, anybody's been by Grand Park, there's just a bunch of piles of dirt, maybe like 6, 7 piles of dirt that's to fill in the low areas. So that should, from what we're hearing, in the next couple of weeks, they should be coming out to do base layers, and then very soon thereafter, they're on a project right now, and then ours will be shortly thereafter. So we should be having a mid-process progress report on the next meeting. So briefly on for the treasurer's report, if you notice that the only main significant decrease was in the tax fund, that's because the end of the tax season, the funds were dispersed. It was a decrease in almost 1.8 where we made our tax payments. And in the water, the only thing of noteworthiness that I had Anna run was there was a decrease in the delinquencies of almost like 6,000. So that's the main shutoff. The shutoffs begin on the 25th of each month on accounts that have a past due balance of higher than 200. After penalties have been calculated each month, the consistency of this process continues to be a key factor in driving the delinquency down. So just as a reminder for public on that. So that's really the total, if I could ask for a file and receive and file on both the water and sewer report and the treasurer's report.
If I could speak before we get that.
Yes.
I just wanted to say, I noticed that the total outstanding with the delinquent is 141. I can't remember ever seeing it that low, so.
Yep.
Good job to the
Exactly.
treasurer's office and the water department, and now we have a new director that, can help move that even lower, but he's coming in at a very good point with the water delinquencies and owed being the lowest I've seen.
It's a process. It's consistency is the main
Yep.
thing too, so thank you, trustee Adam.
Okay,
There's your motion to receive and file?
Support.
all in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carried. Okay, moving on, board response.
Chair, if I may?
Tim?
Yeah, I'd just like to announce to the public our Parks and Rec Easter celebration was just an incredible success. I was astounded at how many residents and people showed up. I'd like to personally thank the board members that came, all of you that came, the police department, fire department, and last but not least, a big hand we need to give to our newest Parks and Rec volunteers. And with that, Chair, that's all I had.
Chair.
All right, Tim.
If I could chime in board response too. I wanted to talk about the, wetland issue that has popped up. It was on Tony's manager's report, but we didn't get to it. We met with Eagle for a couple of reasons. One, we wanted to, introduce ourselves, make sure that, we have a working relationship with Eagle. But it was also to discuss a project that went in on Judd Road that we're still looking at, still gathering information on. But as part of that, I would like to recommend that the board consider a 12-month moratorium on any proposed wetland banks or any existing banks, any changes to any existing banks. And with that, I'd like to ask that if it's approved, that we direct the attorney to move and research a wetland ordinance for us to bring back a draft so that we can, address the issues that we're seeing with this potential project that has started over on Judd Road.
Okay.
Chair. I just want to report on, I was down at the park all day today with the Hot Shots people. They're out there doing phase 2 of the park cleanup, and they did a fantastic job. I sent pictures, but the problem is, if you're not there to see what it is, you can't really see it because you don't know what was there in the first place, so it's just an open ground. But I just wanted to let you know, so if you want to go by the park and check out what they did their work today, and it looks fantastic. And that's back to you, Chair.
Thank you, John. Okay,
Yep.
so did you want to bring up a motion to?
Yeah, that was, I had made the, what I thought was an emotion. Maybe it was just emotion. But, yeah, if I could ask the board to consider a 12-month moratorium on proposed wetland banks or changes to any existing wetland banks. And with that, I would, with the approval of the moratorium, I'd like to direct the attorney to research and bring back a draft wetland ordinance that would cover these type of projects that we're seeing pop up in the community.
I'll second that.
That's something we can add to an approved agenda, or?
Yeah.
we do? Okay.
All in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
Nays? Motion carried.
Okay, we'll
And Chair,
do,
if we could make that item D, just so it's an actual item instead of under board response, that would be item D.
I put that down there as item D, then I crossed out like, we were not
It's
doing
already
that, so,
approved.
yeah.
D is approved. All right, go ahead. Where are we at here? New business?
We'll go back to A.
Okay. Hey,
Yeah, new business. A, consider approval to extend the temporary part-time status of the clerk assistant, Gabriel Massel, 60 days from May 23rd, 2025.
So moved. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carried. Okay, B, consider approval of the two purchases. One Ford Interceptor utility with extended warranty for the PD under the FY 2025/26 budget at a total of cost of $50,360.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carried. C, consider approving the appointment of Ann Astley to the Planning Commission with her term to expire 11/14/2025.
So moved. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Motion carried.
Sir,
Question,
Yeah,
So
she's like
make sure
Madonna,
that-
she doesn't have a first name.
make sure that's Nicole Van Ash.
Yeah,
Yes.
Nicole Van Ash, yes.
a question if I could share too, because did we vote to add D to the agenda, or did we vote to add it and approve it?
We voted to approve it and
Add
as
it.
item D.
Add it and approve it?
Yes.
Okay, I was just confused on that. I thought we just voted to, I thought the motion was to add it on there.
Yes.
All right, good.
Glad we clarified that.
Announcements?
Announcements, I got one. Upcoming this Saturday's Earth Day, we're gonna be cleaning Benody Park. Cole, you got the hours? 10 to 2. 10 to 2, light duty, pick up the trash, walk around. Can you give us some insight?
Yes, so the event is 10 to 2, show where we've had at the end of the event, all the volunteers who contributed will receive a rose sharing, and we are providing pizza for all volunteers as well. We ask that if you have a favorite tool that you like to work with, whether it's weeding or trimming, bring that, whatever you can bring to help clean the park up.
Chair, I would suggest there's trash bags, because of all the things that needs to be done down there, that's one of the things that needs
Yes,
to be done.
absolutely.
So,
Chair, if I could, I got distracted with my own adding item D, but I wanted to go back to trustee
Honey.
John Honey's comments about the park. And, you know, we were down there doing some cleanup of some brush and, you know, and things like that. And, you know, we worked real closely with Joanne Gardner, you know, who manages the curator of the butterfly park. And, you know, she was just ecstatic about the things that were, you know, being done down there. And it looks really good. I looked at the pictures. I had been down there. I did the walkthrough, so I knew what the pictures, you know, the before and afters look like. And I think it's really going to be good for the park down there to get some of that dead brush that was
Is it
accumulating.
a whole bunch of brush or just?
Oh, tons, yeah.
Yeah.
We
You
couldn't
need a
even really
machine?
hardly walk through
Yep.
areas.
Yeah,
Need a
that
machine?
was the, it's already chewed up. The machine that
Oh.
does it, you know, chews it into little pieces, you know, so, if anybody hasn't been down to the park, you know, you won't see the before and after, but you should go down and take a look and see. It'll, you know, open up the area, so, you know, if you do wanna go walk through the woods, you're not getting slapped in the face with, you know, branches. Of course, you know, it has to have maintenance because it'll grow in, you know, every couple of years. That stuff creeps in about 2 feet, you know.
It'll come back twice as strong if
Yeah.
they didn't deroot it.
Yeah.
With a vengeance.
So,
If I may follow up on that too, Chair. So like we mentioned it at the Parks and Rec meeting too, is like we've had multiple phases. Unfortunately, in the last couple of years that I know about, we've done a lot in our parks, tree removal, cemetery, all that type of stuff. Just getting to the point where we can maintain, but the past couple tree contractors that we've had, there's some areas that have been missed, especially like over in Graham, stumps that are still there. We might need to consider like even a phase 3 for park cleanup in the next month, 2 months, whatever. We just go down, we can go down and grind everything down to where our DPW can maintain things, just go with a mower, but there's still a lot of stumps. We just don't want it to grow back, so.
A lot of stumps.
Stumps, brush that have not been really taken down fully, so.
I got a machine to take care of that.
You're on. Earth Day this weekend. We'll see you there.
10 to 2.
I'll put a blueprint layout with everything you need to take care of, so.
We'll have maps
I'll
for you.
dig them up so that they're gone forever.
Chair, if I could add another different event. This is regarding the cemetery. I have some proposed dates for installation of the memorials going into the Martinsville Cemetery. Right now, they're shooting for May 7th to actually put the foundations in and get the memorial set. There's 2 memorials that are going to be placed, and these were secured through grant funds by the cemetery committee that was headed up by Karen Armadas and Scott Holtz and our township manager, and I think Randy Lynch was on it, and there was another gentleman that got added towards the end. Jeremy, yeah. Yep. And so they're gonna be contacting Ron and the DPW to get approximately like 5 bags of quickcrete and some other things. The DPW had to bring the marble headstone down. I think she said it's close to 500 pounds, but they've have a hookup on the tractor to be able to lift it and bring it down. We're shooting for a May 13th dedication or ceremony, and I would recommend that we look at doing it at 5 o'clock, have the board be down at the cemetery, do a dedication and ceremony, and then come back for the board meeting. And I think we were gonna ask Mr. Blackstone, to see if he would officiate that and just, say a quick prayer, and, as we're coming into Memorial Day, I think it's a good start to the, recognizing the Memorial Day.
Yep.
So that's what we have coming up, so.
Okay, great. Thank you, Matt.
Sheriff? Yeah, I'd just like to announce that at the Parks and Rec meeting yesterday, the committee decided to have a special Parks and Rec meeting the 28th of this month at 6 p.m. It's not going to be, it's basically going to be for any ideas that people, the public can come. We need more volunteers. We've got to have volunteers in advance of any other events that we try to do, like the turkey shoot, stuff like that. And we're trying to put together, it was JC's idea actually, a meet and greet where we put up boards and, basically just say, okay, if you can volunteer for this event, sign in, and just get a feel of what we've got to work with. Because the worst thing that you can have happen is put an event on and not have enough volunteers. It gets very frustrating. So again, that special committee meeting, 28th, next Monday at 6 p.m. at Graham Park at the Parks and Rec building. Back to you, Chair.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? We are adjourned.